The presiding judge of the FISA courts, James Boasberg, issued a new order to protect the integrity of the FISA process. In that order, Boasberg wrote this, quote, FBI personnel under disciplinary review in relation to their work on FISA applications accordingly should not participate in drafting, verifying, reviewing, or submitting such application to the court while the review is pending. Boasberg adds that the same restrictions apply to any Justice Department attorney under disciplinary review, as well as any DOJ or FBI personnel who are the subject of a criminal referral related to their work on FISA applications. And that is the conclusion to this point. It isn't reform of any kind. Joining us now, President Trump's personal attorney, former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani, a great American and host of the Common Sense podcast. Rudy, great to have you with us. Judge Boasberg, I'm great. I have to say, this is one of those days that kind of keeps your blood pressure a little higher. I assume it is.
Right,
because,
absolutely.
I mean, we're watching a whitewash here across the spectrum, whether it's the FISA courts, whether it is the FBI personnel involved. They can't apply for, the people involved before can't apply for FISA warrants. Good to know, but it isn't reform, is it?
No. If you make a false statement on a FISA application, you should be prosecuted for perjury. That's the only way to assure the integrity of the process. Look, I know a lot about the FISA court. I was there for the beginning of it.
Right.
And it's a very, very special responsibility you have as a Justice Department employee. I've probably reviewed 100 of them. It doesn't get reviewed by anybody. There's no defense lawyer. And prosecutors, even the good ones, have a bias, right?
Right.
So you've got to take that bias out of your head, and you've got to play both sides. And they obviously didn't do that. What Comey and his gang of unbelievably embarrassing FBI agents did was they completely undermined the entire credibility of FISA, and took something that is supposed to be fair and even-handed and turned it into a hit job on President Trump.
I have to say that Judge Boasberg strikes me as actually seeking to reform the process to those courts. But what really, but right now is still searching for an answer. The problem is that we've got three elements that are going to sunset from the FISA law on March 15th, and we've got a Congress and a Senate, after watching what that court and that FBI and that Department of Justice did to the President of the United States, are still willing to reauthorize it without reform. That, to me, is outrageous.
It is. There should have been, first of all, there should be a hearing. You know, really a hearing about that, about the FISA abuses, so that the members of Congress could get informed about the kinds of reforms that are necessary. I'll give you one that should at least be thought about, and that is to have someone representing the other side, to have someone who's the devil's advocate to go over the work of the FBI and the DOJ. So we're not ever left, again, in their hands, because, look, the FBI and the DOJ in general are terrific. But Comey became a political animal. I was going to say a worse word than that.
Right,
he became a political animal completely. I mean, he was no longer a prosecutor. I mean, here's from someone who prosecuted probably some of the most significant cases of the last century. And I respect prosecutors very, very much. The Hillary Clinton case was a complete fix. A complete fix. All the witnesses that you could have used against Hillary were given immunity. Whereas in the investigation of President Trump, every witness was put in jail. They trapped Flynn into perjury. Right. They gave every one of Hillary's people, 12 of them, immunity without ever trying to turn them on her. Whereas somebody like Weissman tortured Manafort, kept him in solitary confinement for 7 months in order to turn him. So you can't fool me. I know when a prosecutor is corrupt and it's a fix.
Well,
Comey fixed the Hillary investigation, and that came right from the White House.
And
that was a non-investigation from the very, very beginning. That's why the Attorney General told him, don't call it an investigation. She's at least being honest.
Right. Rudy, we're over time, but I want to ask you very quickly. Ron Johnson,
Sure.
Senator Johnson, is going after and says within the next month or two he will have a report on his investigation into the Bidens. Your thought?
My thought is I would take him very seriously. I would not discount the fact that from what I've seen, and I hate to say this, he's one of the few that seems to have the courage to face up to the fact that these things crimes have to be treated like crimes, no matter whether they're committed by Republicans or Democrats. And we got to change this double standard.
Yeah. Senator,
I would have confidence. I'd have confidence in it.
Senator Johnson is the only one at this point in the Republican-led Senate who has such guts. Rudy Giuliani, no shortage of guts from you. We appreciate it, as always. Thanks so much.